But before that, it's time for our
guilty pleasure.
What is it? Was it just a noise?
It's a kitten.
And this kitten was filmed eating its breakfast.
Have a look at this sad.
Justice for original Wiwiwi-mageddon.
It's not that deep. Yet showed the fake, not the OG.
I was expecting footage of the original cat, yet you're just yapping. Never thought I'd get so eaten over stolen valor for the You are making a video ABT justice for the original cat.
Since day one, before it became
Wait till she realizes all beans are copper. The original Wiwiwi-cat is the orange cat.
Porque tanto
Memes are made to be stolen.
Alice. Welcome to the internet series Chronically Online, where we explore the history and cultural impact of the internet. Hi, this is Editing Alice, speaking to you at a much later date from my sofa, where I've just noticed that it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, and that's because the auto cue wasn't positioned directly behind it, so apologies. I hope you can cope with the lack of direct eye contact for the majority of this video. Before we get into today's topic, I want to say thank you to everyone who commented on our AI video from last month. Me again, I'm sorry. I'm as surprised as you are that Editing Alice is having to make so many contributions this early on, or indeed at all. The reason I'm recording this is because I know if I don't, there's going to be some man in the comments section like,
oh, you recorded the AI video in February and you're talking about last month and it's June, so it's been like 4 months. What are you talking about?
Well, do you know what, fictional man in the comments section? Do you know why that has happened? It's because I had surgery, okay? So I hope you feel good about yourself with your comments and your criticisms, because, you know, I've had to take some time off work, and I know that editing this video should have obviously been my priority. I'm sorry that, you know, I'm not working to the standards you clearly expect from me. So yeah, I'm back, and when I started editing this video again, I didn't realise how many times I'd recorded myself saying, oh, last week we did this, and like last month you said this, and I didn't realise that I wouldn't be editing and finishing this video until June, so I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. At this point, I feel like maybe we should just re-record the whole thing, so that I'm actually looking at the camera, and so that there aren't all these continuity errors. But do you know why I'm not going to do that? Because this unexpected moment of sincerity is the perfect opportunity for me to tell you about our Patreon. Fed up of your favourite content creators not having enough time or resources to re-record themselves so they've got a higher quality video? It looks like I'm not looking at the camera. Well, fear no more. The internet seriously Patreon is here. With exclusive behind-the-scenes live streams of me editing this video and even recording this message. The Internet Seriously Patreon allows you an opportunity to support us to keep making this content within the time frame we record ourselves expecting we'll have made the content in. Sign up today and you can watch both of our live streams, now available at patreon.com/theinternetseriously. Anyway, sorry, you were watching a video essay. I promise not to disturb you again. I want to say thank you to everyone who commented on our AI video from last month. especially the person that wrote a 200-word piece of meticulously detailed media analysis critiquing everything from music volume to anthropological definitions of intelligence. Your dedication is as flattering as it is disconcerting. Do give us a like if you like this month's video, and make sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode of our podcast. Speaking of our podcast, what's the Wiwiwi-cat? What has it got to do with the internet and intellectual property rights? On the 21st of February 2025, the Internet Seriously released a podcast episode, as we do every Friday. I was standing in for one of our regular hosts, and it was planned to be a run-of-the-mill, guest-free, low-stakes filler episode. We covered topics from the news that were pertinent to that week, such as the Majorana 1 chip and the US and UK refusal of the Paris AI Declaration. Little did we know that during our online guilty pleasure segment, life as we knew it was about to change forever. That's the Wiwiwi-cat, except it's not. That is different footage of a different cat that somebody put over the sound and got all of the credit. My guilty pleasure is going into the comments section and joining thousands of people who are like, justice for original Wiwiwi-cat. This supposedly unassuming TikTok clip from that episode currently has a view count outnumbering the populations of Cyprus, Mauritius, and Equatorial Guinea. I get that there are people in the world who aren't as gripped by debates on digital policy as I am, but the sheer scale of views, likes, and comments on a 1 minute 22-second call for feline justice has been making waves behind the scenes at the Internet Seriously. Over a month later, I am still inundated on an hourly basis with notifications about this clip. In the intervening weeks, our carefully researched content on the ethics of AI, global politics, and the war on scams has slipped under the radar, subsumed by the monolithic tidal wave, the juggernaut of engagement that is the Wiwiwi-cat. As much as I would like to ascribe the success of the clip to the exceptional comedic delivery and outstanding editing by the short-form content manager, the reality, as we well know, is a cardinal rule of the internet. Don't get things wrong. More specifically, don't incorrectly attribute cat-based content to the wrong cat owner while appealing for justice for said original cat owner. As many of our commenters have pointed out, the video showed the fake, not the OG. I attempted to justify myself in the following episode. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I had the original video. Last week, it was there. It was ready. I was gonna say, here's the Wiwiwi-cat, and here's the original. I was laughed at. I was ridiculed by my two co-hosts, and I thought, oh, do you know what? No one's going to find it interesting. But it was too late. Nobody cares about a rectification as much as they enjoy identifying an error and reading the offending performer to filth. Buried beneath the mockery, the unexpectedly large Indonesian viewership, and the poorly translated Spanish comments was a more serious message that cut through and got me thinking about the topic for this month's video essay. Oh, welcome to the internet. You seriously talk about intellectual property when talking about memes? Memes? This is literally the whole point of TikTok and Instagram Reels. Wait till she realizes all memes are copied. On the internet, the concept of copyright is too vague. Memes are made to be stolen. Wiwiwi-cat is a meme. Nobody can own a meme. Nobody can own a meme. Interesting. Tell that to joolslebron. On the 2nd of August 2024, the life of supermarket chain cashier joolslebron was forever changed when she uploaded a 17-second TikTok clip in her car during a lunch break.
Very demure, very mindful.
The video, How to Be Demure at Work, gathered over 7 million views and 800,000 likes in a single week and has over 55 million views today.
Straight hair, very demure.
Wearing a seatbelt, very mindful.
Very mindful, very classy, and very demure.
This is how I do my makeup for work. Very demure, very mindful.
Quickly, the meme broke free from the confines of the For You page as the ancient gears of the mainstream media began to churn.
Very demure, very mindful.
See how I dress to appear on The Tonight Show? Very demure, very mindful.
Same. You see how I'm very presentable? Very mindful of why they hired me.
So Jules, how am I doing so far?
Very demure, very mindful.
The impact of 17 seconds of fame on joolslebron's life was every social media company's dream. The perfect inspiration core, exceptionalist, rags to riches fantasy. The overnight, TikTok-facilitated success that lifts the humble grocery store cashier out of their mundane life and into a new world of fame, fortune, brand partnerships, and morning show guest spots.
It's so good to have you here with us. That video, you've said on TikTok that this changed your life.
Yes.
How did this change your life?
Well, like, just like right now, like, I'm on Good Morning America. But just like, you know, being able to like finish up my transition and be able to help my family. You know, growing up, like, we had just had like a lot of like, you know, like trauma and stuff from like being like a low income family. Like, being able to like, you know, actually do things, like not do things like where we're out of survival mode, but being able to actually like afford things on its own is just being able to like change my life.
In this situation, we might take the premise memes are made to be stolen and say, well, yes, isn't it true that the high number of thefts, that is, copies and replications of the original, is the mark of success for any popular meme? How can copyright be a good thing in this case when platforms such as TikTok are designed to encourage replication? How can one person own a meme when the whole premise of a meme is that it is cast out into the void to be copied, modified, and stolen? How can a person own a meme if replication is the key to success?
People might believe there's no such thing as copyright on the internet, and certainly with the amount of copying that goes on the internet, they would be forgiven for thinking that, but actually copyright does exist in whatever medium work is created. Copyright arises naturally. You can get copyright in a shopping list. You can get copyright in a very short video that you create and post online, and it is yours. And so technically speaking, every time it's shared, what's that? That's a copy, isn't it? That's a copy being created by somebody else. But it's usually dealt with, I think, in the terms and conditions of platforms that you will give that consent, because otherwise everyone would be suing each other for sharing. And in fact, I think a lot of copyright creators want people to watch their stuff. There will probably be a bundle of rights that are bound up within a single meme, because there'll probably be a photograph or a bit of video, or you know, that's being created into a meme. Somebody created that and they will own the copyright of that. And then every person who layers on a bit of creativity on top, so they don't just pass it on, they touch it in some creative way, add something, that would be called a derivative work. So you're not starting with something that you've created from scratch or planted by seed. You've got something that already exists, but you also, I mean, often some of the funniest memes and the most successful memes are where there's a bit of a twist that you haven't really thought of, and it's really, really funny. And that's a creative moment, isn't it? So copyright recognises that creativity by layering. That's why copyright is such a nightmare, because one single thing can have a massive bundle of rights attached to it that belong to different people.
Back in the 90s, the internet was seen as a lawless space, a digital Wild West where intellectual property enforcement was almost a joke. Over the last 3 decades, the ownership of online content, and memes specifically, has evolved from an anarchic free-for-all into a reasonably well-regulated system. There have been some significant legal cases about meme attribution, including lawsuits from the creators of vintage memes like Pepe the Frog, Nyan Cat, Success Kid, and even Never Gonna Give You Up. Today in the 2020s, social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram now bake in attribution to their user architecture. Every time you upload a video to TikTok, you can choose to give your consent for reuse of your original creation. You can allow others to stitch, duet, or use the sound from your video. You can also choose to not give any of these permissions if you want to protect your content from replication. The platform automatically credits the original creator of material if sounds are reused. This takes the model of layered attribution and turns memes into traceable artifacts with identifiable points of origin. So JoolsLebron owns the copyright of the original footage of her saying, "Very demure, very mindful," and anybody who stitches, duets, or quotes the phrase is referring back to the original source. In this TikTok,
"See how I'm reading this book? Very demure."
RuPaul has creatively reinterpreted the phrase, creating his own copyright for this video, but referencing JoolsLebron's original work, which holds its own copyright. Amazing! Social media platforms save the day once again, and everything is great. Thanks for watching this video. I've been Alice from the Internet Seriously. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and give us a follow. Hold on. Sorry guys, if only the world was that simple. I'm afraid there's another twist in the tale for Jules LeBron, and one that reflects a deeper, troubling complication that haunts intellectual property.
While Jules made the phrase popular, others are now staking their claim to take ownership of it. One Washington man named Jefferson Bates going as far as filing a trademark application for it.
Jefferson kind of got there first. He has the ability to say that he filed for a trademark before Jules did, even though she's used it on her own. Jules LeBron herself can actually petition that this trademark doesn't go through.
You know, if she used it first, it feels unfair that this has happened.
And there's a lot of debate about who used it first. There's another social media person coming forward saying they used it first. We won't.
All about the money at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is going to be a long battle in the courts. In a now deleted video, popular TikToker Jules LeBron claims her catchphrase, very demure, is being taken from her, raising the very mindful question, who, if anyone, is the rightful owner?
In 1974, 30-year-old mother of four, Shuna Shelley, was living in Whiteleaf, Surrey. Her husband Peter had recently lost his job, and the family were moved into a tiny house next to a busy road with no indoor toilet. Shuna loved beat poets and singer-songwriters like Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen. She had always written poems, and in the darkness of postpartum depression, grief for her father, and the squalor of the family's home, she dreamed of writing poems and lyrics for the great songwriters of her youth. While listening to records, watching her youngest baby dance around in his wooden playpen, she wondered about how she might use her writing as a source of income for the family. Hearing that her idol, David Bowie, was moving to the US, she decided to write him a letter, including a poem that she ambitiously dreamed he might one day use as lyrics for a song. She related to him. Shuna was openly bisexual and fascinated by gender as a social construct. Bowie's gender fluidity resonated with her. He himself had recently moved from a creative, refreshingly leafy, inspiring home in Beckenham to a dusty, creatively stifling apartment in Chelsea. Hemmed in by lorries and urban deprivation, Shuna imagined the glamorous star, who had recently started singing about suicide and death, as being not so different from herself. As ambitious as it seemed, the thought of the two of them collaborating together as a singer and a lyric writer gave her hope and life in the gloom of her Surrey house. She wrote a poem, grieving the loss of her coastal childhood. She had always loved dolphins and was fascinated by the natural highs they could experience throughout their lives. Concerned that Bowie might suffer a youthful death, as was common for stars at the time, her poem cautioned against the rock star glamour of the States. The dolphins were not only a positive vision, but a warning encoded in her references to the mythological figure of Icarus, who flew so close to the sun that the wax holding his wings together started to melt. I wish you could swim like the dolphins can swim. She imagined the two of them side by side, collaborating on a song just for their day. No longer would they be separated by differences in life circumstances. No longer would he be a distant, famous star and she a penniless mother of four. Together for one day, they would be two human beings, not restricted by the boundaries of gender or fortune or circumstance. I will be king, and you will be my queen. We can be heroes just for our day. What do you say? The final line, what do you say, she states, was an obvious request for him to answer her. The poem was written and completed in 1974 and sent to Bowie along with a postcard of Henry Holliday's The Meeting of Dante and Beatrice, which remained in David Bowie's possession until his death. The poem letter was delivered by hand to his house, 42 Southend Road, Beckenham, by Shuna's husband Peter, who drove by motorbike and was greeted at the door by one of Bowie's flatmates, also named Peter. The next day, Shuna phoned and spoke with the flatmate who had answered the door, who claimed that Bowie had opened the envelope and read the contents straight away. However, she didn't hear back from the man himself. Her "what do you say" remained unanswered for 26 years. In 1977, Bowie recorded the song Heroes. The same year, he won the New Musical Express Songwriter of the Year award for the song. At the time, Bowie claimed that inspiration for the lyrics came from seeing a couple embracing near the Berlin Wall.
Oh, we can be heroes just for one day.
There was no mention of Shuna, the poem, or how dolphins made their way into a song about the German Democratic Republic. The same year, Shuna described becoming severely depressed and physically unwell. "I was ill by the summer of 1977 with complications from autoimmune problems. I was lying down all the time, unable to converse much or read the newspapers even. I only listened to Radio 3 very quietly for years." The song itself, although not a top 20 hit in 1977, gained global popularity when it was licensed to Microsoft for an advert in 1998.
To be involved with the new technologies makes you learn every day. Am I having fun? Yeah, a lot.
It was this advert that prompted Shuna to take action. She began a lifelong battle to be credited, attributed, even acknowledged as the original author of, in her own words, around 60% of the lyrical material in the song. In 1998, Shuna attempted to achieve an amicable settlement with Bowie without success. In the same year, the song was covered by the Wallflowers for the soundtrack to Godzilla, where it peaked at number 10 in the US charts. Billboard praised the cover for beautifully illuminating the heart-tugging quality of the lyrics. In 1999, Shuna made her third request to David Bowie for amicable rapprochement, for recognition and rightful entitlement, initiating a lawsuit against Bowie with Paddy Grafton Green Esquire. In 2000, the story was covered in a number of online and print publications, including the Daily Express and RollingStone.com. In each of these articles, it was explained that Shuna had written the original lyrics and never been credited by David Bowie. A print article from the 1st of August 2000 stated that Bowie has known about her since 1998, but was unaware that she was proceeding with a lawsuit. He was quoted directly responding to her, calling her a silly girl and dismissing the accusations as absolute tosh. During this year, in 2000, the song was performed at Glastonbury and the BBC Radio Theatre. In 2003, Bowie came up with a different story about the origin of the lyrics to Heroes. He claimed that it had not been an anonymous couple who inspired the lyrics, but that he had seen his producer, Tony Visconti, kissing singer Antonia Mas at the Berlin Wall. He claimed that he had originally not disclosed this in order to protect Visconti, who had at the time been married to singer Mary Hopkin. However, Antonia Mas denied being the woman in question, stating that she and Visconti only became a couple after the song was completed. Additionally, Visconti and Hopkin had been divorced for 20 years without Bowie disclosing this updated version of the story. Again, still, no explanation for the dolphins. Shuna's lawsuit fizzled out without success. As the years passed with no justice, the cruel apathy of Bowie's neglect and the lack of attribution took its toll on Shuna's physical and mental health. She struggled with addiction to benzodiazepine and sleeping pills. I have been in post-traumatic stress since his second denial to me in 1998 and treated with anti-nightmare medication. Regularly, I am in a dungeon cell with David Bowie occasionally walking past the security, viewing the grill bars, neither looking in nor listening in response to me. Over the course of the 2010s, as Shuna remortgaged her small Ramsgate flat in order to attempt another lawsuit, the lyrics she had written were celebrated worldwide. Performances range from the entry of the Great British Team at the 2012 Olympics to films and TV shows including Moulin Rouge, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and Stranger Things. In 2019, at the age of 76, having not undertaken any higher education as a young woman, Shuna completed a master's degree in arts from her bed in her small apartment. Her 103-page thesis, Song of Heroes to Paint, details how she came to write the original Heroes poem and attempts to reclaim ownership of the lyrics by publishing her lyrics in art form. Although severely physically and mentally disabled from a life of trauma and addiction, she received her master's degree from Canterbury Christ Church University, accompanied by her family. That's me, by the way. Shuna Shelley Taylor is my grandma. Today in 2025, my grandma Shuna remains uncredited for her contribution to what is considered to be one of the greatest songs of all time. Heroes has had textbooks written about the mystery of its lyrical composition and has been described as one of rock's most loved anthems of hope. Wikipedia quotes journalists and academics who claim that some consider the song to have been a catalyst for the fall of the Berlin Wall. Had she received royalties for her contribution to the song from the year of its release, Shuna would have earned somewhere close to £12 million. Instead, Shuna has spent the last 48 years close to the poverty line, tortured by the cruel theft of her creation, requiring disability benefits and full-time care for her chronic physical and mental health difficulties. She lives in a small flat with her husband Peter and their cat Serafina. Although she finds it very difficult to go outside, she likes to look out of the living room window on days where she's strong enough to leave her bed. She has always loved staring out at the sea.
Just for one day.
The issue of intellectual property is becoming ever more pertinent as the age of AI has taken root. Both Sir Elton John and Dualipa have publicly spoken out against a bill which has just been passed in the House of Lords, which will allow tech companies to train AI models without declaring their use of copyright materials. Sir Elton John has said that this will enable thievery on a high scale. The reuse of the Wiwiwi-cat sound is hardly a life-changing theft of intellectual property. But for Jules LeBron, the malicious trademarking of a phrase that catapulted her from cashier to daytime TV star highlights how seemingly inconsequential moments can have a lifelong impact on the creators involved. A short online video might seem like a trivial contribution to the art world. A poem on the back of a postcard written from a fan to a pop star could be viewed in the same way. But if that video or that poem has a cultural legacy that changes the world, the trivialisation only intensifies the lack of attribution that can crush creators who are only at the start of their artistic journey. The stark reality is that the internet has not had the profound impact on copyright that the comments section describe. It hasn't solved or particularly worsened a fundamental human problem that lies at the heart of intellectual property theft. Ownership of a creative work is not just about financial gain or notoriety. It's about the validation, recognition, and right to tell one's own story that drives any creative endeavour. The tragedy of plagiarism is that the stories of victims aren't as interesting, exciting, or engaging as the art that is plagiarised. People engage with art to feel something positive, to be moved. People do not engage with plagiarism stories in the same way. They are dull tragedies. Frustrated people fighting their corner for years in articles, master's theses, and lawsuits that just doesn't cut through when the thief has a marketing machine capable of reaching every inch of the globe. What's one small lawsuit from an unrecognised name against the joy of a theme for the British Olympic opening ceremony? Justice for the Wiwiwi-cat is a joke. Justice for Jules LeBron, who is the victim of unfair exploitation, is a legal battle worth fighting with tangible financial consequences. But justice for my grandma, who never even had the fame and popularity of someone like Jules LeBron to begin with, is a tragedy that matters to no one. David Bowie died a legend, never looking through the bars, not a thought to spare for the silly girl who changed the course of his career and of cultural history. How many more Jules LeBrons are out there wasting their youthful energy and talent having to snatch their creation back from the claws of a malicious trademark registry? How many more Shuna Shelley Taylors are out there attempting to fight a battle that nobody cares about in a world that doesn't even know they exist? What do you think? Has the online world solved intellectual property attribution, or are things worse than ever? Do you think there are dolphins in Berlin? Does Wiwiwi-mageddon deserve justice? And do you have a message you'd like to share with my grandma about the lyrics she wrote for David Bowie in 1974? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode of Chronically Online. I've been Alice, and thank you for listening to the Internet Seriously.
This is the way I do cut-ups. I don't know if it's like the way Brian Geisen does his. I've used this method only on a couple of actual songs. I tried doing it with diaries and things, and I was finding out amazing things about me and what I'd done, and me and what I'd done, and me and what I'd done, and I don't know. Anyway, let's see what happens.
I'm an alligator. I'm a mama, papa coming for you. I'm a space invader. I'll be a rock and roller.